So I think if we have no more people waiting to join us in the waiting room at the moment, I will pass over to Andrew and his presentation. So take it away, Andrew.
Hello, everyone. So I was just grabbing some last minute bits and bobs. I've managed to nearly spill a cup of coffee, but apart from that, welcome everyone. So I'll just share my presentation. If you give me 2 seconds. I was indigo, so I'll just share my presentation. So we've got a quick presentation that we're going to go through, which just highlights a bit of what's involved in Qwell, and then we'll do questions after. So if you just bear with me. Been a while since I've done an online presentation. So just to confirm, can you see that Qwell slide there? Yeah. Right, lovely. So as introduced, my name's Andrew Poyne and I work for Qwell PLC. So we're an online mental health service for both young people, which is the Qwell, and then for adults to access around their mental and emotional well-being. So again, just the housekeepings. I know you've already gone through it, but the main one is that we're going to have questions at the end, and then we'll send post follow-up kind of information to you as well, and to everybody who's signed up also. So yeah, I'm the Qwell engagement lead. My pronouns are he and him, and basically my role is to go to anywhere where there's kind of adults and explain what Qwell is, sorry, and Qwell also. So I usually cover the Tees Valley region. So that's kind of the area that I'm used to looking after. And quite recently, one of my colleagues has left the organization. So I've kind of been overseeing Northumberland for a little bit. And we are happy to announce that we've got somebody else called Joe Black, who will be kind of taking that mantle over of the amazing work that's been going on in Northumberland. So apologies if I tell you the wrong age range or something, because I am used to saying it a little bit different for the Tees Valley area, but hopefully I won't do that too much. So the aim of today's session is basically, thank you for giving up your time, is to come and understand what Qwell is. You know, you may have heard of us, you may have seen us. It's not until you see a presentation like this, maybe have a live demo of the website, until you understand what really is involved in Qwell is, sorry. I'll explain how we keep our users safe, and I'll do a live demo. So that's kind of just some very basic aims. So as I mentioned, you know, we're an online service. So I'm just going to talk about who kind of commissions us. So as I mentioned, we're Qwell PLC, and we're commissioned for both Qwell and Qwell. So Qwell is a young person service, which is commissioned by Northumberland CCG, and that's available for anyone aged 11 to 25. And the website for that is qwell.com. And that's all I'm going to mention about Qwell. We've got Qwell, which is our adult service, again, commissioned by Northumberland CCG, and the age range is 18 plus. So as you can see there is a little bit of crossover between Qwell and Qwell. And what I would say is, you know, depending on the young person, is depending on which service they use. But because we're talking about Qwell today, please send them over to Qwell, and it's qwell.io. The reason why it's not qwell.com or qwell.co.uk, because that was already taken, and qwell.io is the Indian Ocean Territory, which is quite trendy for startup organizations. So I'm going to show you a quick video again that just goes into a little bit about what's expected in Qwell and what Qwell can offer. Shout out if the sound's not working, please, somebody.
World. We're all different, and finding the right support is personal to you. At Qwell, you can get that support on your own terms, whether that's chatting online to a qualified professional, talking to someone who's had similar experiences, or diving into our self-guided resources, where you can read articles and use our interactive tools. Whatever is on your mind, and whatever path you want to take, we're here for you. Talk to someone today, or tomorrow, or whenever you need us, for free. It only takes a couple of minutes to sign up, and we won't ask for your name or email. Ready to start? We're waiting. Qwell, alongside you.
So So basically, just carrying on from that video, I just want you to remember a few things. So our tagline is free, safe, and anonymous for Qwell. So it's completely free. It doesn't cost you guys a penny to use, which is absolutely amazing. It's commissioned by Northumberland CCG, so that's who pay for it. You know, if I wanted to go out and get private counselling, you know, it cost a fair bit of money, but again, it doesn't cost you guys one penny to use. So I definitely use it as it is free. I always joke free is my favorite price. It's anonymous, so no one knows who you are when you're accessing that help and support, whether you're signposting people over to our service or whether you're using that yourself. Literally no one knows who you are. Again, there's no loads of paperwork for you to fill in. It's self-referral, so you don't need to wait for the GP to sign you over, a professional to sign you over. It's literally Qwell.io, and it's as simple as that. So I think the fact for thinking, you know, with a professional hat on, the fact that there's not a lot of paperwork for people to fill in is absolutely amazing. You know, we're all really busy and everything, but again, it is as simple as Qwell.io. To keep you safe, everything is moderated on our website. So again, from usernames to the message boards to the magazine articles to everything's moderated. So no bullying, no cyberbullying, no trolling, nothing negative can go on our website. So again, it is a safe space for you to access that help and support. No problem is ever too small for us at Qwell. So again, we are an early intervention service. So we kind of want to help people before they get into crisis. You know, we want to help them with their mental health and mental well-being. And there's loads of different presenting issues or reasons why people might want to access kind of that help and support from our service. So it could be stress, anxiety, friendship, loneliness, you know, body image. There could be changes in your life, work-related stress. You know, we can all kind of relate with that. But whatever's going on in your life, there's that help and support from Qwell. So it's really important for you to know that. We've got loads of accreditations. So again, in other regions, the NHS kind of commission us. We are a BACP accredited service. That's British Association of Counselling and Psychotherapy. So that's who kind of accreditate our counselling aspect of the website. Again, our counsellors need a lot of hours to kind of get that accreditation. And it's great that we do have that accreditation as well. There's a kind of nice stat here. 80% of our users felt that practitioners that they chatted was a good fit for them. So again, you know, finding those relevant people that kind of you might be able to relate with someone as well. And this is my favorite one. 98% of users would recommend Qwell to a friend. So again, really high. And as my role in engagement, you know, I can tell people how amazing the site is. You know, we can have kind of workshops like this, webinars like this, but it's until people get on that website and see and promote us and tell other people. It's almost like that, you know, that restaurant that somebody tells you about, or that nice bar or something. You know, it's that recommendation that really does help and take us to that next level. We've won loads of awards as well, so I'm just going to kind of read these. Best Newcomer at the European MediScience Awards. We've won winner of the Tech for Good Awards as well. And then we're recognised as the Health Tech Pioneer of the Year Award at the UK Business Tech Awards for its roles in supporting the nation's mental health. So again, as you can imagine, during the pandemic, you know, we were ahead of the game. Qwell's been going since 2018. Again, Qwell's been going on a little bit longer as well. So when everything turned virtual, everything turned all online, we were ahead of a lot of organizations as well. So it was great to have that help and support for people. These are just a couple of places that you may have heard of Qwell, or you might kind of hear about us. It could be GPs, workplace, universities, family, friends, members, IAP services from Google, you know, wellbeing reps, social media, amazing organizations like Health Watch. I've done loads of different webinars like this for my other regions and Health Watch as well. So again, it's just about getting that word, that help and support out there. So one of another reasons why our service is so well utilized is because it's an easy process. Like I mentioned, you know, there's no referral forms that you need to fill in. It's just Qwell.io. And then we take some basic information from you as well. So I'm going to go through the sign up process. But again, Qwell isn't an app, so it's really important to let you know. And the reason why it isn't an app is because that's just to keep you anonymous. If it was going to be an app, we'd need an email address, for the iTunes or whatever it is. And we don't take any information like email addresses as well. So that's the reason why it isn't an app. So if you did want to join up, you just click on Qwell.io and then sign up to Qwell. Now I'm going to talk through the process. It's really easy. We take the area that you're from and the sub-location within that. So again, it could be Northumberland, the sub-location within there. We take the year and the month that you were born. So again, we don't take the full birthday just to keep you anonymous. We ask you to pick the gender that best describes you and the ethnicity that closely matches you. Again, these are purely for monitoring purposes. So if certain genders or certain ethnicities aren't accessing the service, it's my role as the engagement lead to try and improve that. Again, working with males and working with males from ethnic minority are something that I'm really proud of and something that our organisation takes seriously and something that I'm passionate about as well. Again, another thing I would like to highlight is that you don't have to say what ethnicity you are if you don't want to. You can say prefer not to say. And also with the genders, I understand that there are a lot more genders out there that's on our list. We worked with an organisation called Mermaids, which is an LGBTQIA plus organisation, and they mentioned that list would be inclusive. So again, if your gender isn't on there, again, I apologise. Pick the gender that closely matches and then pass that feedback on to our organisation. To keep you anonymous, we ask you to pick a username that's totally random. So we say no social media names, no gamer tags. Again, nothing that will make you identifiable because we don't want to know who you are at this point. And then also we ask you to pick a password that's really easy to remember because we don't take email addresses. So we can't do a password reset as mentioned. And again, the last thing is we ask you if we can use your data for research. And again, as you can imagine, we have a lot of data-rich kind of information on our service, and it's really important that we can use that information for different papers and things like this. And we do work with different organisations to promote these. Again, Qwell's got loads of different support options on there, so a range of therapeutic tools and interventions. So I'm just going to kind of talk through these a little bit. I always call this a family tree. So again, we've got the person at the top there. And then we've got loads of different ways that we can help and support. So we've got the professional support. That's our counselling. So that's messaging our online team. So that's speaking to our BACP accredited counsellors or our online emotional wellbeing practitioners. Again, send the message to the team or the live text-based chat. There's two different ones. There's one where it's a little bit like an email. So you'd register, you'd click on the chat button, and then you'd send a message to our team, or you can have a conversation with our online team. So that's the live chat. So that's up to 6 sessions, a 6 in review model. And then that's usually up to 1 hour's worth a week. It can be more, it can be less, depending on what's happening in your life. If you were pouring your heart out, we wouldn't cut you off after an hour. Again, if you felt that you were having those 6 sessions, we felt that you need a little bit more, a little bit less, we would work with you. We've got the kind of the self-directed support. So again, the peer-to-peer support. We've got goal settings. We've got wellbeing journals where you can just pick an emoji and write reason why you're feeling a certain way. We've got magazine articles, so 70% of the content's written for people by other people as well. We've got collections, so there's some amazing different things on there with like all different presenting issues, so you don't even have to look for it. So there's stress and anxiety, there's other things on there as well, so you can just click on them and then find what's happening in your life. And then we've got discussion boards. So these are the kind of the online community support. This is a little bit like a live web chat where somebody can start a conversation about anything and everything, and then other people will comment on this. But again, as I mentioned before, it's all moderated, it's all checked by our online team, so there's no risk of cyberbullying, trolling. Nothing inappropriate can go on our website. Can't speak. As I mentioned there, we've got that live text-based chat, and it's a little bit like a WhatsApp messenger. So it's that live in-time back and forth interaction with our counselling team, our emotional wellbeing practitioners. Again, the timeframes that are available: Monday to Friday, 12 noon till 10 o'clock at night. On the weekends, 6 o'clock till 10 o'clock at night. Our services available, the counselling's 365 days of the year. So Christmas Day coming up, which I'm excited for, Boxing Day, bank holidays, all of that good stuff. You can still get help and support on those days. Again, I don't know of any other mental health services that are open kind of on Christmas Day. I'm off, I'm not going to lie, but my counsellors are available as well. So I think it's great. Also, the fact that we're open till 10 o'clock at night is massive as well. You know, really want to highlight we've got that out of hours support for people. You know, people might access mental health support from another organization, but the fact that they can get that counseling till 10 o'clock is amazing. And also, it's just the counseling that has that time frame. So if you want to access our website at 11 o'clock at night, you know, you can do. I've got 2 young children. I've got a family. You know, by the time, you know, we've done the bath time and bedtime and everything's happened, 9 and 10's kind of a little bit of my me time. So that's when it would be perfect for me. It kind of works around my lifestyle. So that's when you know, between 9 and 10 would be amazing to get that help and support. We've got loads of different kind of a diverse range of practitioners there, to be honest, who are qualified to work with children, young people, adults as well. We've got a little biography on our counsellors also. So if you did want to have a counselling session by somebody who was, you know, a similar ethnicity as yourself or from a similar community, maybe LGBTQIA plus, you know, again, you can ask for them as well. So it's great that we do have kind of counsellors and emotional wellbeing practitioners from a wide range of backgrounds as well. Again, as I mentioned, your first chat session is initial assessment. So again, we can just find out what's happening in that person's life. The magazine articles and the collections are amazing. You know, there's some great content on there. You know, there's stuff around self-harm awareness. There's content about what's trending on Netflix. There's magazine articles about hobbies, interests. There's stuff about, you know, celebrating Christmas with children. I've done some content for being a father. And speaking from my point of view, there's content about specific mental health issues. So that could be stress and anxiety. There's content around, you know, parents whose children might have SEND. So there's loads of different things on there. So really great to, you know, get that help and support. The goal settings are great as well. And it's not whether, you know, it's not black and white, whether you've made that goal or not. It's whether you've worked towards it. So my goal could be, you know, go for 3 runs a week, which it's not, but it could be, you know, I could have just gone for 1 run and I can move myself up. I could have bought my running trainers, you know, planned my route. Again, you can move yourself up. So it's not whether you've done it or not. It doesn't matter that I've not done it 3 times. I've even thought about going for a run and move yourself up. So again, it's that support. We do have clinical outcome goal settings as well, where you can work in collaboration with our online team to come up with a set of goals. And as I mentioned, we've got the journals. So that's where you just pick an emoji and write a reason why you're feeling that way. If someone is writing a sad emoji or an angry emoji, again, we can send a welfare message to them as well. And then also you can see there's a hide page button. So if you didn't want anyone to know that you were accessing that mental health and support, you can click on the hide page button and it just takes you to Google. You can pretend you're doing whatever you are. The peer-to-peer support element is massive. You know, it's really great to know that you're not feeling isolated. You know, you could be sat at home stressed out about being a parent, or, you know, you could be sat at home stressed out about work, or, you know, you could be having certain feelings and there's other people that feel exactly the same way as you. So it's nice to, you know, get that off your chest as well and get tips from other people as well. So it's not just from our professionals. Our professionals do write articles and help support you as well. But again, getting information from other people is massive. Just to go through all of the different information on the collections, we've got some race and culture content on there. Again, exploring neurodiversity. There's loads of different things on there. Bullying, race and culture, hobbies, interests, relationships, greed. So the collections is really good. That's where everything's all in one place. So again, you can see them, won't go through all of them. Gender identity as well. So now I'm going to kind of just chat a little bit about the safeguarding process. So safeguarding is a priority for us. At Qwell, we believe that safeguarding is everybody's business. It's a core value amongst all of our staff. We've got a clear process for escalating safeguarding concerns, which is supported by our safeguarding team. So again, we've got a massive safeguarding team behind the scenes. We've got designated safeguarding teams that are always online to help people, to help our clients, to help other people. So I'm going to read through this word for word because I think it's really important for you to know. So the safeguarding team responds to all concerns raised by staff and service users. Our online safeguarding is a balance of skillful engagement, robust clinical governance, clear protocols and guidance. We conduct risk assessments and provide confidential spaces where service users engage and can understand our duty to keep them safe from harm. Where there is a cause for concern, service users are encouraged to provide us with their identifiable information so we can best work with partners and other services. We would continue to work with the service users to keep them safe, even if they didn't give us that details. So basically what all that is saying is, if we had a person who was, came to our service, maybe mentioned that they were going to take their own life or whatever it is, maybe taking an overdose, what would be the steps? So again, all of our counsellors, emotional wellbeing practitioners are real people. They're not robots. I'm friends with a couple of them. And we would ask for that identifiable information. Our counsellors are great at finding out a bit of background information, find out what's happening in that person's life, asking certain questions, you're under the influence of drugs, alcohol. Again, when you start that counselling process, there's a contract between themselves and our counsellors that any identifiable information they give, we can pass on to a third-party organisation. And we had it was a young person, but against the same process, who came onto our young person service, Qwell, and basically mentioned that they were going to take their own life. And we asked for that identifiable information. That they basically just wanted to let somebody know. They'd been in a gang in London, seen some horrific kind of sexual abuse, and basically they want to end their own life. And we continued to work with them. They didn't give us that information at first. We continue to reach out to them to check that they're okay. We booked in more scheduled sessions with that young person as well. And then recently we found out that that person actually ended up going to get some extra help and support, ended up doing a youth work degree to help other people in their kind of, in their circumstances, and now is a youth worker over in London. So we've saved that young person's life, really, and we've helped to turn something, horrific into a bit of a better situation. It's really, a lot of people think because we can't see people or, because we're an anonymous service, we can't help anyone. And it's almost the opposite. What we say is Qwell PLC, so Qwell and Qwell, it's a massive protective factor. People could be sat in the rooms having these feelings by themselves. Sometimes people are known to organisations that may take their own lives, unfortunately. But because we're anonymous, we can help people. And usually people will give us that identifiable information. And if they don't, we'll continue to work with them. So it's really important for you to know that. Again, if the service wasn't safe, we wouldn't have been commissioned for Qwell since 2001 and for Qwell since 2018. Also, local NHSs wouldn't kind of use us. So I just really want to put your mind at ease that it is a safe service for you to use if you are using it for yourself, or if you're telling someone or signposting someone over as well. So again, as the local engagement lead, or soon to be, it'll be Joe Black, we can offer you free posters and cards. So we've got these little cards here. I'm not sure if you can see some of these. I'll show you at the end. We've got digital images. Again, we're going to be sending some, or Health Watch are going to be sending an email, and there'll be different kind of links to our resources on there as well. And we've got a sign-up guide and things like that on there. Some nice quotes. So being anonymous makes it feel less intimidating and helps me to be honest, open and honest. Again, without that pressure of knowing who the person is massive. It's one of the reasons why we are so well utilized. The understanding and validation I received during my chat sessions were really important to me. So again, there's not long waiting lists. The longest you might have to wait is an hour or 2 hours again. So you've got that help and support out there for our counselling service as well. Connection with others is invaluable for me. It says everything you need to know, especially during the pandemic. As you can imagine, we were very, very busy. Sometimes someone knowing how I feel is enough to make a difference to my day. So again, really important that people have that kind of that peer-to-peer support element. So we're nearly at the end of the session. So there's a few email addresses there, so please do jot them down. So we've got one for parents and carers. It's called parent@qwell.com. We've got any inquiries, so if you did want to reach out to myself, there's kel@qwell.com, and that gets picked up by all of our Qwell engagement leads, or Joe Black, who's going to be taking over myself. Or if you want, you can email me and I can point you in the right direction. So there's a couple of different emails on there as well. So that's everything. So I'm going to jump back in the room and we'll do some questions and I'll do a live demo as well. I've flown through that. So
remember to unmute myself there. Right, Andrew, thank you ever so much for that. That was great. I think it was really comprehensive and gave us a really good feel for Qwell. I think even though we were aware of it, I think I just wasn't aware of the extent of it and quite the depth of it. So that was really helpful. I think a few things occur to me, which I think was that came across very strongly, which was about the values and the real underpinning of what's the line, free, anonymous and safe. Is that what you said it was?
Yeah, free, safe and
Yeah.
anonymous, but yes.
I think that's a really, really strong set of messages. And I think all the stuff you were talking about safeguarding was really helpful. We've got a couple of questions for you already. I'll come back to mine at the end, otherwise I'll just get greedy. So we'll pick up on Nicola's first and then we'll come to Denise. Nicola's asked the question, who would you hand concerns to once you have identifiable details, crisis team or GP? So that's around safeguarding.
Yeah, great question. So again, I think it would kind of depend on what the safeguarding concern was. You know, potentially it would be both if we had that identifiable information. I know in one of my areas, again, we had somebody who, again, mentioned that they were going to take their own life and there was no one at home, and we gave that information to the police and the ambulance, and the police went over, you know, knocked on the door and sat with that young person and just made sure that they were safe. So again, it depends on what the safeguarding concern would be to who we would pass that on. But again, we would try and include everyone if it was the GP, the crisis team, or whoever the relevant person would be. Now, that's a bit of a politician's answer, but hopefully it's put you at ease a little bit.
Well, I'm sure Nicola will come back with another question. Yeah, so Denise's question and also I think that picks up on Natalie's question as well, is do you have to live in Northumberland to access this service? Because as Natalie says, whether clients in North Tyneside, which is very obviously, you know, the next authority along can access the service. I don't know whether North Tyneside commission you.
Yes, so let's have a think. So potentially, so this is just for the Northumberland area, or if you worked in Northumberland, potentially you could use this service. North Tyneside, I'm going to double check. So what I'll do is I'll jump off for 2 seconds. You can chat between yourselves, and I'll double check to see if we do have one.
You can tell us afterwards, and we can put it out in the post event stuff. That's absolutely fine.
I have a feeling we do. I know we've got one where it's available for teachers only, but I'm not sure if it's full population. So I'll just double check with you, but yeah, I can pass that information. I think we do. Like I said, I cover the Tees Valley area, so apologies, I didn't expect any questions for the other areas, but we are live in Newcastle and Gateshead. I know that for a fact for Qwell. I'm not just sure of the details about the North Tyneside.
So how does that work then? So I think it goes to the heart of Denise's question. So you have to you live or work in Northumberland, and is that determined by what you put into that box when it says where do you live?
Yes, it is. Yes, yeah, and that's just because of our commissioners, basically. So there's some areas that aren't commissioned for Qwell. I think it's Sunderland is one of the only areas that don't have anything. But I know North Tyneside does have one, but I'm not sure if it was for just teachers only. South Tyneside, I'm just checking now. But yeah, so it's basically, yeah, it's just due to our commissioners, unfortunately.
Okay, so that's really interesting. So question from Carly wants to know about would we receive an email that we could forward to our clients with information and links to Qwell, and could we all have one for Couth too, as I have clients with children who may benefit from that? Absolutely. I think that information is all available on our website as well, but certainly we'll make sure that the post-event app information has all of that on it, Carly, because I think there's going to be a sudden upsurge from Northumberland.
Yeah, we do have these little cards, so these are quite nice. So they've got like just a bit of information. I don't know if you can see there, and they're very discreet as well. So if you wanted potentially us to send them out, just send us an email from the back, and again we can send them out as well.
Absolutely great. 2 questions from Beth and from Nicole, which I'm really pleased about because they were going to be my questions. That's really excellent. How do you link with local local support to that near to that person, such as around poverty and need? Because that was going to be one of my questions, because obviously we've got a recovery college in Northumberland which is online but is also looking at doing other things and various other groups and things. So how do you link to in-person support in an area? And I'll come on to Nicole's question after that.
Yeah, so with that, our counsellors have got a massive database where we as Qwell engagement leads input all of that information on there. So, you know, we do signpost to face-to-face organisations. So if somebody, for example, wanted to go to that recovery college, that information would be on that database, and then that will get passed over to our kind of to that person.
And does that include things like, so because I think, you know, obviously at the top of our heads at the moment is around poverty and need, so links into support services, so the food banks, the citizens advice, the council, all of those things, that was all on that database that your counsellors have access to?
I haven't updated it for the Northumberland area, so I don't know either way, but I would kind of, I'm not going to say I would guess, but yes, it probably have that information on there. And again, you know, around the kind of the cost of living, there's loads of kind of specific information around there, or like not local information, but, you know, kind of more general information. We've got some magazine articles around there. We've got podcasts. We've been doing live webinars and things. But what I can do is I can double check to see about that Northumberland and see all the information is on there. I can ask Joe to do it.
Well, there you go. That's a nice bit of induction.
I know, yeah.
Okay, so this comes to Nicole's question, and I think this is a really important question. Any provision for non-English speakers? And she appreciates that is likely to be difficult to cater for, but a really important question. And she's got a follow up as well. So if you take that one first, that'd be great.
Making me work today, aren't you? So yeah, basically, great question. It's something that I am kind of passionate about, working with kind of people from different backgrounds and ethnicities and things. Unfortunately, we don't have a kind of interpreting service. Unless we had a counsellor that spoke that language of the client user, we wouldn't have that information, or we wouldn't be able to kind of interpret it, which is, if I'm going to be honest, and I'm being recorded, but is something frustrating for me, because again, in a lot of my areas, there's a lot of asylum seekers, and I think there's a lot of work that we can do, you know, with refugees and things, and it's something that I do want to kind of link into heavily. However, if, you know, we can't translate, it's kind of almost unfortunate. Also, because it is quite text-based, you need to be a certain level of literacy as well. I think it's a level 2. So sometimes in some of my regions, we've got adults who aren't at that level. So again, unfortunately, Qwell wouldn't be the relevant kind of place for them. What I'll do is I've got a Q&A leaflet. I'm not sure if I sent it across to Tim, but before Tim sends all that information out, I'll send that across there, because it's just got a bit more information about the translation service. It's something that we are hopefully kind of going to look at and try and improve in the future. But again, unfortunately, you know, it's nothing at the moment.
And would that be something that Qwell itself would develop in its own business model, or would that be something down to individual commissioners?
I think it would be up to our organisation. So again, for both Qwell and Qwell, you know, have something where, you know, there's a translation service on there for everyone, essentially. But that Q&A document is great because it's got stuff about SEND, and it's got information on people who have a certain literacy level. And it's also got about the translation service. So I can't remember if I sent it to Tim. If not, I will send it to. So Tim, please don't send it out until I've sent that. And I'll do that once we've finished.
That would be great. Nicole also asked whether you could recover the live chat counselling. We'll come to that in a moment. I'm going to get through a couple more questions before I allow you to do that, because that'll be because we've got a lovely lot of questions here. Obviously, Leanne wants to know how she can check whether that her organisation is on the database for the counsellors, and she thinks they're probably already there, but would nice to check. So it's would you say if everyone sitting here today for an organisation wanted to make sure that they were on the database for Qwell, what's the best way to do that? Is that to contact Joe?
Contact myself or Joe. Yeah, maybe contact me, and we can kind of mitigate Jo, because I know she is only a few weeks into the organization. But yeah, if you just send it to ourselves, and we can make sure that that information is inputted onto our database.
Okay, so I think what I'd say to everyone is if the best way to make sure that you're on the database is to contact Andrew after this, and I think that's a really good thing. A really good question from Lisa as well. Although 18 plus, what age range do you find Qwell most popular with, and are older people accessing the service?
I don't have that answer to hand, but it's something that I can go off and look into and get back to you, Lisa. Again, because there is that little bit of crossover between Qwell and Qwell, so it would be interesting to see what that kind of most popular age range would be. Again, with a lot of my Qwell contracts, digital exclusion, something that is massive, isn't it? You know, with the kind of, not the older side of Qwell, but they're towards the other side. So yeah.
Yeah, it just struck me from what you were saying that you know, given that it is an online service and people's busy lives, that ability to access it maybe outside of work or outside of other responsibilities, it may appeal to to an older age range, and it would be interesting to see whether people in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s are upwards are accessing it. I think that'd be really quite interesting, because I'm sure all of us will be dealing with people and working and trying to support people across those age ranges, and knowing that it's available and not unusual would be it's welcoming. I'm sure you'd be welcoming anyway, but it's just nice to know that it is welcoming. A good question from Beth. I don't know whether you've come across this before, so I may need to explain this slightly. I don't know whether you've come across an app called Frontline. Frontline is it's basically a method for doing secure referrals between organisations. That because I think what we've all found, because we're all working in multidisciplinary ways now, sometimes referring between ourselves as voluntary organisations or in and out of statutory organisations to voluntary organisations, we needed a way that both brought together the knowledge of those organisations, of what was out there, but also that way of making referrals. And it's called Frontline. And I just wondered whether and I think Beth's absolutely right, whether Qwell would want to be on Frontline as a place where because it's both for professionals and members of the public can look on it and refer themselves in. So whether that's something that Qwell might want to look at.
Yeah, I think it sounds, just from what you've mentioned, it sounds, my eyes lit up there. It sounds ideal. Is it something that's in other areas as well, or is it just Frontline? Is it kind of?
As far as I know, it's Northumberland. It was actually developed down south,
Right,
and it's been brought into Northumberland in the last year, 18 months. So it's we can certainly give you information of how to get onto Frontline.
That would be amazing. I'm not sure if we are already, to be honest, but if not, you'll know better than me. But yeah, that would be amazing.
That's great. I can't see any more questions at the moment, unless I've missed them. So I think we had Nicole asked if you could go over how the live chat counselling sessions work again, please. So over to you again.
Do you want me to do a quick live demo as well? It won't take very long, and then people can see.
Yeah, we've got about
time.
If people are happy to see that. I'm assuming we're all happy. Yes, please, says Nicole. I think that's the answer.
Bear with me 2 seconds, just chat between yourselves. I need to try and make sure I've got the right thing up. Sorry about this. So what I'll do is I'll show you our kind of demo website. So again, unfortunately, there's not a lot of kind of content on there, but for safeguarding reasons, we're not allowed to jump onto the live site. But it gives you a good flavor on here. So again, This is what the website looks like if you've never seen it. Can you see my screen there? Sorry, I better check. Can you see the Qwell screen?
Yes, that's coming up now.
I know just in the past I've gone through and done a full presentation, people can't see it. So again, these are the articles, the magazine articles. So the newer articles are usually at the front, usually around what's trending at the minute. So you can see there's some examples here. Loads of different things. And then we've got the categories. So there's all different abuse, bullying, you know, family and friends, health and well-being. Again, with this being a demo website, there's not a lot of things, but on the real one, there is a lot more information in there. So you can see there, work and education, some articles within there. Again, if people wanted to write an article for us, they can, you know, do so. We need people, especially on Qwell, to write some articles. You know, it could be about something that's happening in your life. It could be a hobby. It could be your interest. You know, whatever's going on, you know, please do help other people with that peer-to-peer support. We've got the live discussion boards. So these are where people can start a conversation about anything, and then other people will comment on this. Again, there you can see someone's moved to London just for work, so it's a little bit lonely. Then other people will comment on this. So again, there's that peer-to-peer support. You know, you're not, well, this person's feeling isolated, you know, actually. So again, you're not feeling that isolated because there's other people that are in the same boat as you as well. We've got the collections that I kind of talked about in the presentation. So again, these are really nice kind of present issues all in one place. So again, it's really nice just that you don't have to go looking through everything. It's all there. So again, there's stuff around grief and loss. Or it could be stress and anxiety, stress awareness, sorry. Again, some great content around around race and culture, addiction, parenting. So there's loads of different things on there. Cost of living as well, as this is a new collection, but again, you know, as I mentioned, there's quite a lot of and then if you want the counselling, this is where you just click on here, join the chat queue. Then our counselling is available 12 noon till 10 o'clock at night, Monday to Friday, and then 6 o'clock till 10 o'clock at night. So you just click on here and then you get picked up by our online team. With it being a dummy site, it's come on straight away. So again, that's usually up to an hour's worth of counselling a week. Again, the time frames differ, but the longest you'll have to wait is an hour or 2 hours, which again is, you know, in the grand scheme of things, is quite a long time. However, compared to some other organizations, you know, it's not really that long. They've got maybe 2 years waiting list. So again, an hour or 2 hours isn't too bad. And that's a 6 and review model as well, as I mentioned. So again, the first 3 sessions are initial assessment, depending on your answers from those questions, and depending on what therapeutic tool and intervention you would go down. I'm not from a clinical background, but CBT could be one of them. But again, there's many more that we would look at. Again, you can send a message to the team. So, you know, you might have missed the counselling time, might be 11 o'clock, or the family could be doing your head in, you know, whatever's going on, you know, someone could have cut you up in traffic. Just send a message, vent, get it off your chest, and it'll be picked up by our online team. There you can see some little bullet points to help you have that conversation as well. Mentioned about the goals. So you can see there, you can just write a goal and then move yourselves up and down whether you've done it. There's the good mood journal, as I mentioned. You know, you just pick an emoji and write a reason why you're feeling that way. And again, if anyone was writing an angry or sad emoji, that would get picked up by our online team. See there, over a year ago, it was a bank holiday weekend. I was very happy. You can meet the team as well. So again, you can find out a little bit more about who's counselling you. Again, with this being the dummy account, there's not a lot of information on there, but on the live website, it's got a lot of different information on there. And we've got the
Andrew,
yes.
Rebecca has asked a question whether it would be the same counsellor for the 6 sessions.
Great question. So it depends, to be honest. So what we do is, I'm going to let you into the secrets here, but what we do is we rag rate people. So again, if it was a safeguarding concern or someone was in crisis, we'd rag rate him red. If you were, you know, maybe historical self-harmed or you weren't at that risk level, again, we'd rag rate you amber. And if there was no concerns, we'd rag rate you green. Again, new users would usually get pushed up the queue as well, because we don't know what's happening with them. And then red rag rated people would get pushed up the queue as well, so they'd get seen a little bit further up. So if you were rag rated red, a lot of R's there, you would probably have the same counsellor. Or if you requested that same counsellor, again, you know, maybe you had a counsellor that's a similar ethnic minority as you, or similar, you know, community as you can continue to see them. However, you usually would see somebody different, which, because it's online, it's not too disjointing. However, if you've seen someone differently face to face, it will be a little bit disjointing. So, no, a great question. Hopefully I've answered that for yourself as well. And then this is the kind of the support outside of Qwell. So again, these are kind of different crisis organizations on there as well. So you see Samaritans, Shout, NHS. So these are more of the national organizations where that database would be specifically within the counselling of someone reached out to us. So you can see there. And we're live in South Africa as well, hence why there's some South African content. And we've just gone live in America, which is very exciting as well. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell, our service. So what I'll do is I'll just jump back in online and see if anyone has any questions off the back of that.
I think Rebecca's question you've just answered about the counsellors. There is also, Lisa has very helpfully put the link to Frontline into the chat, so we'll circulate that to you anyway, but also to anyone else who thinks they may you know, Frontline may be helpful for them as well. Are there any other questions to Andrew, or any observations? Even observations would be helpful as well, because that's always good about the service. Okay, I'm just going to check my list. I think all my questions. We've got another one from Natalie.
Yeah.
Do you ask if the person is engaging in any counselling? Generally, it is advised that someone go through only one therapeutic treatment at a time. Can clients just have a one-off session?
Yeah, we do. So if we had somebody who was kind of already speaking to another counsellor, or was on a waiting list, maybe for an IAPT service, was speaking to our counsellors, and that appointment became available, we take that step back and then speak to our emotional wellbeing practitioners. So they've still got that help and support, but it's not that counselling, you know, 2 counsellors at the same time as well. And again, similarly, if someone was already speaking to a counsellor and we found that information out, you know, we would, like I said, speak to our emotional wellbeing practitioners.
Mm-hmm.
Great question.
Yeah. So again, I think for me that talks to that speaks to the service being very inclusive. It's a very easy door to get through, and then I think it sounds like you then give the support and help and then work things out. So you're there first and then deal with the rest of it afterwards. I think it sounds very good. Question from Beth: do you know what proportion of your service users get linked to local support organisations around need? I
don't have that information to hand, unfortunately, but again, potentially something that I can look into and find out.
That would be great. Thank you very much. And question from Carly: are sessions booked in following the first session? So how does that work?
Yeah, there would be. So we would schedule them in with our counsellors or wellbeing practitioners.
Okay.
Also as well, so just to highlight off the back of that, so again, if you were waiting in the chat queue maybe for an hour or 2 hours, or, you know, again, you were waiting tonight, Friday night, and it wasn't relevant, you couldn't wait that long, you had to go somewhere else, you could schedule in a chat. So on that messaging service, you could maybe speak to our online team and say, look, I've been waiting for an hour, can't wait any longer, it's not relevant for me to wait anymore. Can we look in booking maybe next week or 2 weeks time, if that's possible? I know it's not ideally that way, or can I book in for another day, and try and get that scheduled time booked in as well. Also with the counselling, you get like a 5-minute window, a 5-minute warning in your queue. So if you miss that, unfortunately, you do miss your place. So what we do have usually is we have a lot of young people who be waiting around, they might leave the phone, go watch Netflix or whatever, and then they'll come back and they'll miss that 5-minute warning. And unfortunately, they will lose that place, and they'll say to me, oh, Andrew, I've been waiting 7 hours. That's ridiculous. But then when you find out why, it's because they've missed that kind of 5-minute warning. So again, it's just really important for people to highlight that they do have that little 5-minute warning. So try and, stay by your phone if you are in that queue as well, because, it'll be heartbreaking to see you wait for that long and then miss out on it right at the end as well. So just really want to highlight that.
Okay, so basically once you're in the queue, you have to hang on to whatever.
You've got that 5-minute warning.
Yeah.
While you're in the queue, you can go look at the magazine articles, you can go do other things as well, but try not to leave your phone down and miss that 5-minute, warning that your place is coming up, ready for the counselling.
Okay, no, that's very helpful. Are there any other questions or observations from anyone this afternoon? No. In which case, I will say thank you to Andrew on behalf of all of us and Health Watch Northumberland. And I think you're going to get a lot of people spreading the word. I think we've had some very positive questions. I think that the questions have been really to the heart of it. I think there are some things that we're going to certainly go away and think about. I think we've now told you about Frontline, so there you go. That's a mutual thing. So thank you all very, very much. It's been great seeing you. We will send out some post-event information. Beth's asked a question about the slides, but the slides themselves aren't available, are they, Andrew?
No, unfortunately, we're not allowed to send them out, but that's why we recorded it. So again, you can still see that information. I'm going to add the Q&A slides. So as soon as I get off this, I'm going to email that to Tim, and then once I've done that, the further information will get emailed out to you. But yeah, I'll send that Q&A because it's got the information from the questions that have been asked as well. So brilliant. No, thank you for having me as well. I think this has been booked in since summer, so it's come around really, really fast. But I've done a lot of work with the other health watchers in my local authority and things, and it's a great organisation to be involved with as well. So thank you for having us.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you to everyone who's given up your time this afternoon to be with us. As you know, Health Watch Northumberland rests on its ability to connect with you all. So thank you all very much for giving us your time. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you all again soon. Good afternoon.
Thank you.